Hey guys. Wait a couple of seconds, see you guys pop in. It's time for social media training. Hey guys, welcome. Hey. What's up, Jazz? Hey guys. Sorry I'm late. I had like a bunch of calls this morning. I also just recorded an awesome podcast with my friend Sam from Salty Lifts. Hey, Full Cycle Coaching. Hey, Paige and Heather. Hey guys. So I apologize, but I was recording a podcast, so I'm here now. And I'm super excited to dive into social media training with you guys. This is like the new Therapy Coaching, Leadership Academy stuff. I am kind of for the first time jumping out there in this business coaching space. I've been doing it, but I haven't really been talking about it. So, I really value you guys being here, and I really want to help you and help you learn how to master social media so that you can create a really strong community of people who love you, who like support each other, and who will end up wanting to convert into paying clients. So this is for you guys to kind of like learn how to create your social media and start it. And thank you for sending in your questions. I'll be going over the questions that you guys sent in earlier, and hopefully this will be helpful. And if you guys have any questions while you are watching, please let me know. I am happy to, I'll look through the comments and I'm happy to answer any questions as they pop up for you. So, okay. Oh, hey, you're in Germany. That's awesome. Welcome. So, Kitty Caveat asked, she wants to know about choosing one aspect or topic to focus on and express when she has a multitude of experiences. Ooh, this is a good one. So when it comes to creating a page, you want to kind of think about what are the areas that are your zones of genius as they apply to your ideal clients. So for me, when I was jumping into mental health coaching, what I was looking to do was work with people who were going through a self-awakening or a self-discovery journey. And then I worked out for myself, what was it that they are experiencing that I can speak to and support them in as they're going through their journey, because that's relevant for them. And then I'm attracting the ideal clients that I want to bring in versus just attracting like any kind of clickbaity followers that may or may not stick around. We want to actually call in an audience that are engaged, they're really loving you, they want to work with you, so that you never have to feel like you're actually selling anything. You're just showing up and teaching and, letting yourself be seen. So it's not about like when you're finding your niche, this question I think is around finding your niche and how to pick one aspect. It's not that you want to pick like just one very specific niche to post about. You want to think about like a niche, like who is your ideal client? So with that being said, as a mental health coach, I could post about anxiety, depression, managing like your mental health under times of trauma. I could talk about gut health. I could talk about anything under the umbrella of like a self-awakening journey. So in that way, your Instagram doesn't have to just be about like anxiety. It can be about like a multitude of experiences that are all applicable for your ideal client. The thing to focus on though is reminding yourself you're creating something for someone. Who is this person, and is it going to actually be valuable and helpful for them? Or am I posting something because I think it's going to get a lot of likes or comments, or it's going to like ruffle some feathers and get some attention? It's really important that you are keeping in the back of your mind, who are you showing up for? So in that sense, you really don't have to, when picking a niche, you just think about what is your zone of genius, and that can be many things. And as long as it kind of feels like it's in a cohesive package, you don't have to stick to just like one single thing to talk about. So that's that question. Oh, this is a good one. Yeah. Me too. So shadow banning. So if you guys have been posting stuff and you're activists, you may notice that your likes have gone down, your viewership has gone down, you may have lost followers, you may have been shadow banned essentially. That's what's happening. So when it comes to some of the stuff that is a little more controversial, Instagram does shadow ban. So just be aware, it's definitely something that if you are really going hard with your, advocacy posts and you're not getting a lot of play, just know that that's totally normal and part of the algorithm. Okay, so we have a question and I want to see if I can answer it. Annalie asked, what is your coaching process of taking clients that are going through an awakening? What do you work on with them? So I actually don't do this kind of coaching anymore, but the things that I put together to work on with my clients included first really getting a deep understanding of their history, of their background. So I would take them through kind of tell me about your life story from the beginning up until now. And that would take some time to get through because I really feel unethical about trying to help somebody without fully understanding every aspect of their lived experience, because I may tell them to do something or suggest something that without knowing a part of their experience could be harmful and not helpful for them. So I would say if you are getting started in coaching and kind of trying to figure out where to start with your clients, start with a whole intake of their entire life history and focus on themes, things that they remember, deeply impactful experiences, and family of origin is really a huge one. What was their childhood like? And really deeply get to know them. And that in and of itself, just putting in order the someone's narrative of their experience can be so helpful as a jumping off point. And from there, I would then have them go through self-care. Are they doing it? Do they know what it is? Self-care is really the foundation for all of the healing work, because if we don't have a cushion to land on, it's going to be really, 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 really rough doing the self-awakening and self-healing process. So after I get their entire history, I then walk them through self-care. We establish routines. And then after that, it kind of depends on what they're experiencing, and it really gets very individualized. And that's where you can jump into other things. Do they need NLP? Do they need, what else? Journal prompts, meditations, and it's a collaborative process in the sense that you continue to check in and ask your client, what are their goals, what do they want to work on, and using your expertise and zones of genius, then you apply kind of what would work best for where they're going. So I hope that was helpful. That's pretty much the beginning process, and really after kind of the establishing the foundations, I would say it really just becomes very individualized. And so I would let it unfold and kind of provide guidance and wisdom as they're discovering themselves. And also a really great tool that I found is having them create a list of the things that are very important to them and a list of the things that they definitely don't want in their life at all. So helping them get really clear about what are their hell yeahs and what are their hell no's, so that they can start establishing boundaries. So yeah, boundaries is also another thing we would work on. So those are a couple of things. I hope that was helpful in terms of what your question was. And then let's see the other ones that we have here. Okay. So this one's awesome. Thank you, Alexi. I think I struggle with engagement, getting people to share and like my stuff. So does anybody have this issue? I know for the first 6 to 8 months, I was actually recording a podcast with my friend Sam just before this, and we were talking about how showing up consistently can be so hard when we are not getting engagement. It is so discouraging. We're like, what the hell is happening? Why doesn't anybody want to respond to me? And then all of a sudden the imposter syndrome kicks in. It's I have nothing important to say. People don't care what I have to say. I'm being stupid. This is crazy. And then we shut down, right? We just step back. We go, we don't like this. People aren't responding right away. So why continue? And that is literally the fastest way to run your business into the ground, is to make it about you. So if you're struggling with engagement, my friend Sam and I were talking about a couple of ways that are really, really helpful to get more engagement, but also work on the inner work that comes up around, oh my God, am I worthy of this? Am I smart enough? Am I capable enough? Do people give a shit? It's a combination, right? So in terms of the things you can do that are practical, show up every day. It doesn't mean you have to do a static post. It doesn't mean it has to be something huge or revelatory and like, I'm gonna teach you this big lesson every single day. Like, first of all, that shit is heavy. It's heavy, it's hard. You don't need to be like super like deep every single time you post. The other thing is you can show up in your story. You don't even have to say anything. You can show your face and just say, how are you doing? You know, drop a question box. A really great way to bring on engagement and to kind of get that consistency is just continue to put yourself out there and ask questions. After the end of every caption, I always add a call to action, which is a little phrase that's like, hey, if you're interested, you know, like leave a comment, let's talk. That is a prompt to engage, right? It doesn't mean that everybody will engage. I actually went the first like 6 months of posting with 0 people commenting on my posts. So like, don't be discouraged. Essentially, it takes people time to build trust with you. And if you show up every single day and you're like, hey, I'm still here, I'm not going anywhere, people eventually will start to come out of the woodwork and will start to engage with you. When they do, respond in a timely way and in a really open, friendly way. Don't immediately pitch your services. Don't immediately be like, hey, let me solve your problem. Just say hi, you know, respond to whatever they're saying, encourage them to keep, you know, reaching out and communicating, and start to build your relationship with each of your followers. Especially the smaller that you are, the more interaction you have with everybody, the more you'll grow, because, you know, people really can sense the energy that you're putting into your page. And if you really don't put in that energy to connect with people, it's going to come out the other end and people aren't going to stick around. So consistency, show up every single day, even if it's just to say hi or drop a question box in your stories or something like that, but show up so that people know you're there. In terms of the other things you can do for engagement, it's just consistently asking for calls to action. So in your stories, ask people questions, tell people to DM you, drop the question box, do a poll. Any of those interactive things where people can click, that's engagement. You know, they don't necessarily have to speak to you for it to be engagement. They can be just like that they tap things or they fill in a question. Because some people aren't brave enough to really talk to you yet. They think you're like, oh, some Instagram person, so maybe they won't necessarily DM you, but they might like click a yes or a no in a poll, and that's like the first step before they start to reach out. So I would say offer lots of calls to action, lots of opportunities for people to speak to you, engage with you, and click and play with your page or your stories. The other thing is really understanding who you're here to help. Again, if you're creating a page that's all over the place and doesn't really speak to one specific ideal soulmate person, then it's going to be very hard to get consistent engagement because it's not landing with everybody. When we are creating our page, we want to have in mind who that person is we're here to serve, and don't be shy to very specifically call them out. When I was in the beginning stages, I was really like, I want to be so like gentle. I want to talk to every single person who's struggling with trauma symptoms or anxiety or depression. And that was really great. It was awesome, but no one really engaged because I was talking to so many people that I was really talking to nobody. So really know who you're talking to, speak to their experience directly. Don't be afraid to call it out. And that's really going to get you that nice engagement. And then also kind of doing the work and asking yourself, what is it that I'm wanting from the engagement? Why do I feel like it's so important? Even if I'm getting my message out there, is it really necessary for people to validate me or respond? Or where does that come from as a metric for success? It is important to get engagement, but if you're also in the really beginning stages, it's not like totally normal to get engagement right away. So ask yourself, where am I on my kind of Instagram social media journey? Am I really just starting out and I'm like expecting a lot of like response when, you know, it's really the trust hasn't been built yet? Or is it that I'm not implementing, strategies that I could be implementing that could be getting me more engagement? So I just say show up consistently, offer a lot of ways for them to interact with you, and don't be afraid to continue to be there, even if at first and after many months you still don't get any engagement. You will get it eventually, I promise you. Stick around. So that is that. Jess, I'm so glad you're enjoying this. Full cycle coaching, yes. The Mystic Empath, I totally agree. I'm so glad this is resonating with you guys. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I around niche. Okay. So this is a good one. Can't wrap my head around my niche. Not sure where my focus is without being cliche or cheesy. Ugh. Like, who here has posted and felt like cheesy at some point or another? And the thing is, like, your audience's bullshit meter is very, very strong. Like, they will be able to tell when you're like, okay, like you're not being focused and the post is like not. Oops, sorry about that. I have a low battery. I'll try to get this done before I run out of battery. So we don't want to be cheesy. They can pick up on the cheesiness. They can pick up on the disingenuity. People know when you're bullshitting. So don't bullshit. Like, really don't. Please don't. Don't be weird. Don't bullshit. In terms of what that means, whatever you're teaching and showing your audience should be things that you are doing in your own life, right? So if you're actually actively going through the process of, let's say, self-healing, what you're going to share is not going to be cliche or cheesy. You're going to be like, yeah, like the other day, right? Like, I was in the shower and I spent 25 minutes crying. Yeah, like I did, because shit is heavy and things are terrible in the world, and sometimes it's like overwhelming and you got to just let it out, and sharing that aspect is not cliche or cheesy. It's part of my healing process. It's true to my experience. It's rooted and grounded in that truth and that authenticity, and people feel that energy, and that's what actually builds your audience, is people feeling connected to your human experience. And that means really sharing your kind of dark side, your light side, the good things, the bad things, and being totally 100% real. You can go ahead and post every single day about psychological theory, because I did it, and yes, it's helpful. But the things that actually get people to stick with you and grow is connection to your human experience, is seeing you be vulnerable and share that, yeah, I fucked up and I yelled at my partner the other day, even though I'm like all like in this healing space. I got really angry and I took it out and I lashed out, and like, here's how I handled it. And like, we all fall down, it happens. Or like, just sharing that you're not perfect, or whatever it is, just showing up as you and allowing yourself to be fully seen, will never be cheesy or cliche. So I hope that makes sense, manifesting myself. In terms of wrapping your head around a niche, again, think about who it is you're here to serve. What problems are you here to solve? And how can you be the bridge between where they are right now in their journey and their process and where they want to be? And that's what you're going to be posting about. And then imbuing your post with storytelling about your own experience. So if you don't already practice journaling, if you don't already do an inner work practice like every single day, checking in with yourself, creating a narrative around your experience, it's going to be very, very hard to imbue your content with that really magnetic stuff, which is essentially just your experience and like your whole story. So that is on that in terms of like niching and not being cliche or cheesy. Just be you. You're not cheesy or cliche. All right. Dana Holiday, yes. The Mystic Empath, yes. Oh, Lexi, hey girl, hey. Oh, we got an Ignite student in here. I am so excited. She is so bomb. Okay, cool. So let's see. One more question. Loving Space Chicago asks, creating content, blogs, and posts and scheduling them for Instagram and on my website. Okay, so this is about struggle. So struggling to create content. Like I said, do your inner work every single day, processing what's coming up for you. Content can be around tools, concepts, techniques. It can be around stories about your life, stories about your clients, what's coming up. Essentially, again, creating content is speaking to the pain and also the like paradise, ideal situation of your client, and being the bridge and understanding where they are in their journey, stepping into that experience. For me, for example, like back when I was starting and doing the mental health coaching again, which is different than what I do now, I thought about like what was coming up for me during the beginning of my self-healing journey, because that's who I was calling in. And so for me, it was like an overwhelming sense that something is wrong, but I can't put my finger on it and I don't understand why. Self-sabotaging all the time and almost witnessing myself make decisions that were bad for me, but being unable to stop myself. Feeling depressed, having suicidal thoughts, not being able to feel fulfilled, having dysfunctional relationships. Like all of these different things were a part of where I was in my journey. And yes, of course, like it's vulnerable, and we definitely want to be careful not to like push it too far so that we're sharing something that really feels too vulnerable. But like sharing where you were and understanding where you were is going to bring in that audience for you if you're working again with people who have gone on a similar journey to you. If you're doing something and helping and being of service, and you're not doing the things that you're teaching, I would then question what it is that you're doing. I don't know. I personally feel like if you're going to be out there teaching things, it should really be connected to your experience and really grounded and rooted in what you're going through. Because again, like you can create really great infographics, really great conceptual posts, but like the content and the blogs and the posts of really the juicy stuff that really gets you to be as successful as you want to be is going to be around your process and who you are, because that's what builds trust and that's what people want to see. We can all read a textbook, but what we really want to see is like, what did you do? Like, how did you do this? How do you figure this out? So that, and then in terms of like some practicalities, there are some areas like general kinds of content you can create that you can cycle through, I would say every, couple of days. So one kind of content is like educational content. So create like graphics and posts around educational like content around the things that you teach. For example, if I'm teaching about meditation, I will do posts about what is the science behind meditation and how is meditation beneficial and when did meditation, like where does it come from and all of this stuff. Oh, I will be leaving this in the page. Oh, yeah, I will be posting this rose light energy. Don't worry about it. It will be up. After this, I will make sure to save it and post it. But going back to what I was saying, so I forgot what I was saying. This is ADHD for you guys. Okay, but anyway, so basically, like, if you're going, so the types of content. Okay, here we go. So education, like I said, you can teach people about like concepts, and that's like the super safe stuff. I think for me, being in the therapy space and the psychology space, when I first started, I was like, ooh. Oh, thanks, Lexi. She's always got me. Like being kind of like being able to step and hide myself, my vulnerability behind like teaching was like kind of very safe. So it might be like a good place to start if you're just starting to step your toes into it, is like doing posts around educational concepts. Other kinds of posts, inspirational posts, right? This pumps up your community. This makes them feel really good. They open their phone. They're like, damn, I needed to hear that today. Like that is that kind of post that usually comes in the form of like quotes, or your personal journey or your clients' journeys and success stories, things like that. Another kind of post, personal. So this again is what we just talked about, doing a story about something going on in your personal life, something that you're experiencing, where you are in your process and your journey, and being kind of a mirror for other people to witness their own expansion as they witness yours. So personal posts are another kind of post that you can do. This is usually could be like a quote, image, could be a graphic, could be just like a picture of you, and then usually in the caption it would be like a storytelling of some experience that you've had with a nice beginning, middle, and end, and that's that kind of post. And there's a couple of other ones. I don't really have time to go into all of them. My phone is dying, but this is all stuff that we teach in Ignite, by the way, which is the program that I just launched in March. And we are running our second cohort 2.0 in October. We start October 1st. So if this stuff is speaking to you, go to the link in my bio, check out the application, check out the sales page. This is all stuff that I teach you guys how to do and do very fucking well. So I am super excited to teach you guys more about this. Let's see. All right, full cycle coaching. Lexi, I can't wait too, Lexi. I'm so excited. Okay, cool. So full site coaching. How do you deal with vulnerability and sharing your own story? So what I do is I first process this for myself before I share it with anybody else. Oh, I'm so glad you're grateful for this. I'm grateful for you. We have to hang out. I haven't seen you in a minute. So how do you deal with vulnerability, right? So go ahead and process this for yourself first. Do not share in the middle of your crisis. Oh my God, I'm like dying right now. Like that's going to re-traumatize you, especially if like people like, number one, don't respond. And then you're like, oh my God, I just like put myself out there so vulnerably and like no one cared. Or you get like some weird response from somebody who's like triggered. I don't know. What I say is like, please do your own inner process work first, which means journaling, meditating, doing your own like kind of inner world work around what you're experiencing before you process or before you share it with other people, so that you can really feel like you are in control of the situation and what you're allowing yourself to share, and also so that you can frame in the language what you like are comfortable sharing, the details you're comfortable sharing, right? So when I first got on social media, I didn't jump out and say, hey, I was like suicidal and like horribly depressed in my mid-20s and I thought my life was over. That was like way too vulnerable. I was still like healing, still really in that like kind of raw place. So I talked about my anxiety, because anxiety is something I dealt with for a long time. Something I was comfortable talking about, something that it felt a little bit outside my comfort zone, but wasn't completely gone, like totally like this is way too vulnerable, but just slightly out there, you know, enough to make me grow. So that's really what the metric is like, have you processed it for yourself? Do you have a narrative and a story around this that feels safe, and what are the details that you feel safe sharing, and then kind of approaching it from that way. You're always allowed to be boundaried with what you share so that it feels really good and aligned, feels really truthful, but doesn't leave you in a place to be super, super vulnerable and, you know, like traumatized. So, all right, guys, I hope this was helpful. I want to save this before my phone dies. Thank you so, so, so much for joining me. Huma, thank you for your questions. I'm from LA, and I see you guys. Thank you so much for joining. This will be up on my IGTV. I'll be doing more of these. If you guys are interested in Ignite, we're going to be teaching you all this shit so you can start your business and get your social media going, and I'm so happy to support you. DM me if you have questions, and I will see you guys soon.